Okay. Hello, my name is Josiah Drake. I don't want to make this fast, but I feel like I need to. Every time I try to record this video, somebody interrupts me or something happens because I'm new to this and I'm a very busy person. So I just need to kind of get to the point. I am an Orthodox Christian, and I've been studying the Bible for a very long time, maybe 20 plus years. I've read a lot of the fathers, the church fathers, and I've read the Bible. I've read outside sources. I've read a lot of the Apocrypha. I read the Quran. I read the Book of Mormon. I read just a lot of books of faith and spiritual practices. I'm pretty versed in Kabbalah and people call it Kabbalah or whatever. But I kind of just know my way around these areas. And I never really looked into the other Bibles that have been around. And especially the Septuagint, which Jesus, used to quote all of his sayings from. And then I never really looked into history, Mesopotamia, and then really the Hellenistic period. And I guess, I don't know why I didn't do that. I kind of believed that the oldest, stories of the Hebrew God would be the Bible. And as I started to read and really get into the Old Testament, which is kind of a big mistake, if you want to stay Christian and have your Christian values, then you want to really stay out of the Old Testament. But as I was perusing around in the Old Testament, I started to see a lot of motifs, a lot of things that don't make sense. I don't even like calling it the Old Testament because it's just not what it is. The way that Paul explains things, I think, is where it really muddies the waters. So I've always been really careful about Paul. I've never really made sense that after Jesus died, we have a whole new teaching from Paul. He brings a whole new message to the table about very spiritual things and things that aren't really mentioned anywhere in the Old Testament or the New Testament. He has different ideas, more divine ideas, more Roman and Greek ideas than, I guess, is being portrayed in the Old Testament and the first part of the New Testament. I never had a problem with Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Then when I got into the Old Testament, I noticed that a lot of people are getting visions. A lot of people are having the Spirit. God is doing a lot of things that we are waiting for, that are promised, and He's already performing them. So I noticed a big beginning and end kind of thing going on. As far as I'm concerned, the way my thoughts are is I think about the Bible and I say, okay, wow, what would it be like if we lived with God on earth? What would it be like if God lived in our city with us? And what would heaven be like? What would living with God be like? And to my surprise, we've already done it. We've already lived with God. We've already lived with God on this earth. And it promises a new heaven and a new earth. And we're like, I wonder what it would be like in the new heaven and the new earth. But then it also says that we're going to eat of the same tree of life that Adam was eating from. And there's not going to be many people. So you have your heaven scenario with the rivers coming out that are already there now. And you also have a vision of us eating the fruit that we already ate back then. We have a new heaven and a new earth, and it says in the beginning God created heavens and the earth. So we're always wondering what it would be like. Well, the problem is it would be exactly how it is now. And that's it. It's just a constant repeat. Almost like the Big Bang happened. We get as far as we can go expanding out. And then once you can't expand anymore, everything just kind of sucks back in. And then all of a sudden you start at the beginning again. And then a Big Bang. And then it sucks back in, and a Big Bang. So how many experiences have we had? How many Big Bangs? How many Let There Be Lights? How many have we had? How many species has lived on this planet? When this planet was found after the bang, and after, God is looking at everything and he's looking for a suitable planet throughout all these other planets, he wanders across a watery planet. This planet could have had a sustainable life already. And just because a God wandered across it and noticed it and said, hey, I'm going to start putting life into it and ordering these things and making this planet could have had already another God, or just a regular creation event with evolution and all these things. So we don't know. We just know that it says in the beginning and in the end. So you have a beginning story and an end story that can just cross each other. And we don't have to really wonder what it would like to be to live with God, because we've already done it on this earth. We don't have to wonder what it would look like if the glory of God was in the center of a town, because the glory of God was already in the center of a town. We don't wonder what it would have to be like for the new heaven and the new earth, or a new tree, because we've already done it. So we just keep going around in circles. This is kind of bothering me. So now that I see this kind of circulation going on, I'm really wondering. I'm trying to expand on it. I'm really looking at Paul. I'm really looking at the Old Testament. And I stumbled across something that's very problematic for me and very interesting. So I kind of want to show you. Let me make sure that I have it pulled up here. And then let me make sure I can get on the right page too. I'm going to switch my camera here. Right here, we got a little bubble. And I'm going to... Okay, I think we're here. Good. So you guys can see it. Now, the same things that I'm thinking about, I'm bouncing back and forth to the Old Testament, to the New Testament, kind of watching what Jesus is saying, because I'm looking for things that I can kind of spot out. Hold on, let me make sure my microphone... Okay. And I come across John 10, and people are really wondering where Jesus gets his divinity from. I'm wondering. I'm there with the Jews. So let's just read this. The Good Shepherd and his sheep. Okay. So it says, very truly I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. Just remember that, okay? The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all of his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used the figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Anyway, it gets. Therefore, Jesus said again, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they might have life and have it to the full. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life, only to take it up again. No one takes it up from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I receive from my Father. Okay. The Jews who heard these words were again divided. Many of them said, he is a demon-possessed and raving mad. Why listen to him? But others said, these are not the sayings of a man possessed by a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? So, here's a good question for like any Christian and all of you people. They're living in in Roman society, the Jews are, and Jesus is coming and he's preaching all around. How many demon-possessed people have you known in your life? Because he's saying right here, the Jews who heard these words were divided and said, he is a demon-possessed, raving mad, why listen to him? And then the people are saying, he doesn't sound like a demon. So, when do you guys hear demons talking? You know, it's just, they act like while living in this time. And Jesus too is just like, people rise from the dead every day. You know, resurrection is just totally normal. He says that he lays his life down and he can take it up. And he went and resurrected somebody before this, and then and they're talking about demons, possession. So it's just like, they are so close to this being an everyday experience for them. They're just talking like, hey, it's every day that we hear a possessed person. It's every day that we see these miracles. They're even saying that, how can he open the eyes of the blind? Nobody opens the eyes of the blind. So they're like, oh, well, he can't be a demon because he's opening the eyes of the blind. So then who opens the eyes of the blind? Who do they know that has been walking around in their time opening the eyes of the blind? That's just a little food for thought. Further conflict over Jesus' claims, okay? So then came the festival of dedication at Jerusalem. It was winter, and Jesus was in the temple court, walking in Solomon's colonnade. The Jews who were there gathered around him, saying, how long will you keep us in suspense? If you're the Messiah, tell us plainly. So there have been other messiahs before this. I'm not sure how many, but their messiah figure is a person who comes and saves the people or returns them to the people. So, hi, honey.
That's all I wanted to do.
Aww. Okay, so this is important. The Messiah thing is important for later. They want to know if he's the Messiah. There was a purity period for the Jews going on before this. In the early Hellenistic period, the Jews of the time were like, why does this keep happening to us? Why do we keep getting our butts kicked? Why are we just going through so much turmoil? So they said, hey, let's go back to our roots. Let's pick up the Torah. Let's do the laws. Let's kick out anybody who's married outside of us and has families outside of us. And let's return And if we return to our purity period, it will kind of massage the Messiah coming back. And the Messiah was going to come back and defeat the Romans. But this isn't some like 20 years ago. This is like a 500-year-on thing that they're talking about. They are trying to bring this Messiah about. And that's why they're constantly testing him. They're not testing him because there's this new idea about a new Messiah. They're testing him on something very old, something their fathers' have told them. Kind of like when we test somebody if they're the Antichrist. We're waiting on the Antichrist. We're waiting on Jesus to come back. And there's going to be people who make those claims. I'm the Antichrist, or I'm Jesus. And there have been people that made those claims. So the Pharisees and the Sadducees are really taking on that role of testing this. They want to know. They want to know what's going on. They want to be a part of it, because they're literally, the Messiah is supposed to come back, and they're supposed to pick up their swords from under their bed and go against the government. That's always their thing. In fact, they're still waiting for the Messiah. They still have this plan. They still have this guy that's supposed to come, and they're supposed to get Israel back, and they're supposed to rule over the world, this earthly world, not a heaven. So let's just keep going. So they want to know. They want to know if he's the Messiah plainly. Jesus answered them, I did tell you, but you did not believe. Do you see this word right here? Believe. That's going to be really important, okay? They did not believe. The works I do in my Father's name testify about me, but you do not believe because you are not my sheep. So the Jews are his sheep, but he's saying that these people are not his sheep. My sheep listen to my voice, right? So not only do you have to be a Jew, but you also have to listen. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father who has given them to me, and here we go, is greater than all. No one can snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and the Father are one. Again, his Jewish opponents picked up stones to stone him, but Jesus said to them, I have shown you many good works from the Father. For which of these do you stone me? We are not stoning you for any good work, they replied, but for blasphemy, because you are a mere man claimed to be God. This is all going to tie in together. Jesus answered them, is it not written in your law, I have said, you are gods? If he called them gods to whom the word of God came, and scripture cannot be set aside, what about the one whom the Father set apart as his very own and sent into the world? Why then do you accuse me of blasphemy because I said I am God's son? Do not believe me unless I do the works of my Father. But if I do them, even though you do not believe me, believe the works, that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I in the Father. Again, they tried to seize him, but he escaped their grasp. Okay, so this is very important, because here we go with Jesus. He is quoting, not quoting, but he's using the Bible as a guide. He's saying, hey, I'm going to tell you something that you know for sure happened. So what is he telling them? Let's go here. Right. So here's Deuteronomy 32:8. I kind of think it's important to show you what it says here. I think, okay, here it is right here. Now, if you go to the Bible, right here, right here. So it's changed, obviously. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. So this is really important, because when Jesus is talking about who he is, he's mentioning who he is. He's saying that the sheep were given to him by his father. So his father has a bunch of sheep, and he's putting them all into groups, and he's saying, okay, I need shepherds, right? So Jesus isn't the only shepherd. There are other shepherds. But if you go to Deuteronomy to find out where all the other shepherds are, what they're saying is that the Most High divided the nation. So he's dividing the sheep, and he's going to give each sheep as an inheritance. But when he separated the sons of Adam, right, which is the children of Adam, this is after the flood. This is after the fall of the Tower of Babel, right? God is angry. They built a ziggurat, and they are all coming together to communicate with God. And God says, no, you're not going to communicate with me. You're going to communicate with me on my terms. So he separates them, and he wants to give each tribe a place. So that's what the problem is with this. If we go to the original text, it says, "Is this how you repay the Lord, you foolish, unwise people? Is he not your father, your creator? He has made you and established you. Remember the ancient days. Bear in mind the years of past generations." This is the best part. "Ask your father, and he will inform you. Your elders, and they will tell you." So I talked to my family about this stuff, and they don't know. They don't know this ancient stuff, this past generations. "Ask your father, and he'll inform you. Your elders, and they will tell you." And unfortunately, we just don't have that information anymore. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he divided up humankind, he set the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the heavenly assembly. So God is in his pantheon, and he's dividing the people according to his sons. For the Lord's allotment is his people, Jacob, is his special possession. The Lord found him in a desolate land and an empty wasteland where animals howl. He continually guarded him and taught him. He continually protected him like the pupil of his eye. So Yahweh inherits Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Look what it says right here. Let's read the... this is the Septuagint here, okay. So this is the one that Jesus would be quoting. So we have the Hebrew Bible here, and then we have the Septuagint. "Do you repay the Lord in this way with these things, foolish and unwise people? Do not he, this one, your father, acquired you and make you? Remember the days of old, consider your years and generations upon generations. Ask your father, and he will say it to you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High distributed nations, as he scattered the sons of Adam, he set up boundaries for the nations according to the number of the angels of God. And his people Jacob became the portion of the Lord of Israel, allotment of his inheritance. He supplied them in the desert, in the thirst of burning heat, in a dry land he surrounded them and disciplined them, and he guarded them as the pupil of his eye." So let's go ahead and go to let's go ahead and find ELYON here, okay? Okay, they're giving me the right one now. I don't know why they're doing that now. Let's see. So it says right here, when ELYON gave nations to their land, when he divided the descendants of Adam, He set up borders for the tribes corresponding to the number of the sons of Israel. It still says sons of Israel. But Yahweh's people were his property. Jacob was his own possession. He found his people in a desert land, in a barren place, where animals howl. He guarded them, took care of them, and protected them because they were helpless. Like an eagle that stirs up their nest, hovers over its young, spreads its wing to catch them, and carried them on its feathers, so Yahweh alone led his people. No foreign god was with him. He made them ride on the heights of the earth and fed them with the produce of the fields. He gave them the honey from the rocks and olive oil from the solid rock. They ate cheese from cows and drank milk from sheep and goats. He gave them fat from lambs, rams from the stock of Bashan, male goats, and the best wheat. They drank the blood, red wine, and grapes. So you see these different themes going on. And what I notice is that we have a problem here. Jesus is talking about these sheep that are his inheritance that his father gave him. If you go back just to the regular Deuteronomy text, how can that be if God is just dividing up the sheep and then he's saying, okay, well, the sons of Israel, one tribe is going to get this sheep and one tribe of the sons of Israel is going to get these sheep, and they're all getting allotments or lands according to God. But according to Jesus, Jesus inherited these sheep. If you see right over here, it says that let's see. It says, my sheep listen to my voice, and they know me, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father who has given them to me. So, Yahweh, who is Jesus, inherits his sheep from his Father, who is ELYON. There is no Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. It's just not in this text. They did change it. It says right here, 32. It says right here, Deuteronomy 32 wasn't changed at one specific time, but underwent textual alterations by scribes over centuries. Notably, in verse 8, where sons of God, Bene Elohim, right, or Bene Elim, was likely changed to sons of Israel, Bene Yisrael, to avoid polytheistic impressions, a change evident when comparing the Masoretic text, traditional Hebrew text, with the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint. And it's just been, that's it. It's just been changed. And there's not much I can do about that. So now you're going to say, okay, well, this whole pantheon thing, it was the sons of Israel or angels or whatever it was, but these judges that were acting as God, but people. But then we go to Psalm 82 right here, and this is also very important for Jesus' case. God presides in the great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. How long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to the wicked? Did my thing just... Okay, I'm going to start over. God presides in the great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. How long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to the wicked? Defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. The gods know nothing, they understand nothing, they walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said you are gods, you are all sons of the Most High, but you will die like mere mortals. You will fall like every other ruler. Rise up, O God, judge the earth, for all the nations are your inheritance. So David is asking for God to rise up, and instead of just having one part of the inheritance, which is his sheep, He wants him to have all of the nations. And eventually, that just happens. They eventually give Yahweh all of the same attributes and abilities of ELYON, and they just merge them together. And it worked. For whatever reason, in the Hellenistic period, when they did these edits, they just had to. They had to, for whatever reason. They're survivors. All the other gods that were in their nations just belonged to, they were nation gods, and they just died off. And the Israelites, or the Jews, they were able to change it. They were able to make their God portable. They were able to bring their God out, and no matter what, they would go to other countries and not worship their other gods. And they're just constantly on this track to be Jews and to live by the Torah. And whatever they had to do, they did it. But that doesn't change who God is. It doesn't even change who Jesus is. Jesus is Yahweh, but Yahweh is not the Father. And that's my case. I hope to hear what everybody has to say. There's a lot more that goes into it when we're talking about cuneiform, and when we're talking about ancient Mesopotamia and the Hittites and the Canaanites. But I'm going to just leave that for a later video. I think this is good. I'm just a regular guy. I don't know a lot, but when I read the Bible, and I read Jesus quoting things and saying things, and he's referencing something, it better say what it says. And if it doesn't, then that's just the way it is. And I'm not going to be an apologist, and I'm not just going to accept things and hide things. I just haven't come this far and worked this hard for that. So thank you for watching, and I'm just going to go ahead and end this video here. Again, I will comment if you leave a question, or you want to call me a son of a bitch or something in the comments. But thank you for watching, and have a nice day.